Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to the first episode of Barefoot Programmer. Well, actually, this is not a tutorial video per se. It's the first video that I ever uploaded to this YouTube channel. Now, a quick who am I? Currently, I'm working as a programmer, a software engineer, whatever you want to call it. But if you ask me, do I have a computer science degree? No, I don't. Do I have a degree? Yes, but in some other fields. I have a degree in arts. In my undergraduate years, my major was English language literature. Yes, you heard me right. English language literature. And later on, I had a degree in the field of education. The specific area is curriculum design and instruction. I had other jobs before as a translator, as an interpreter, and as an instructor. Now I work to build websites and web apps. When I first get started about 3 years ago on my journey of programming, I think it was before COVID hit, I looked for the trade schools to learn the programming stuff. And those schools are also called boot camps. So if you search online, depending where you live, I live in Houston, Texas, a decent in-person boot camp that runs for 6 months can cost you anywhere between 12 to 18,000, which is a lot for most people. Even some online boot camps can cost around 10,000 easily. So if you live on the West Coast, like Bay Area, I've heard that it's not uncommon for it to cost more than 30,000. I don't have that kind of money, so what I did is I went to the bootcamp websites and I looked at their curriculum. Maybe I tried 4 or 5 of them, and I figured out the specific topics that they were teaching there. And I made a list. I learned those topics with the help of Google and YouTube and some inexpensive platforms like Coursera, Udemy, Codecademy, to name a few. So, long story short, after wasting a lot of time and energy and money, I got where I am now. Looking back, now I realize that actually it should only take me about 6 months to a year to get where I am now instead of 2 or 3 years. Of course, if you have the money or if you're willing to take out a loan from the bank to attend boot camps, then go for it. Supposedly you can achieve the same result in 6 to 12 months. At least that's what they promised, right? But if you do not have that kind of money to spend right now, or if you do not want to get into debt, or if you have a full-time job and you can't make the time commitment and follow the intense schedule of the boot camps, then I think it's fair to say, hey, take it easy and give yourself a year and use some online tutorials to learn the programming stuff. That being said, it is so frustrating for me to learn programming online. Not because there are no good materials. On the contrary, it's because there are so many. It is so overwhelming for the new beginners. It's so hard to discern which one to choose, and there is no telling if you're still on the correct path or not. I remember that after 2-3 months into learning, I was still learning HTML and CSS. I tried different courses and built different student projects, but after 3 months, I was still on CSS, which is ridiculous. There are things that you only need to know the fundamentals at this stage and then just move on to the next topic. Once you get all the topics covered, once you have become familiar or get exposed to all these tools and technologies, and then you can come back on some specific topics and to work on the details. that is the correct approach to take. But I didn't know back then. I thought you have to master HTML before you even move on to CSS, and then you have to master CSS before you move on to JavaScript, and even after, and only after mastering JavaScript can you finally move on to a library or framework for front-end development like Angular or React, and then you can learn database and the backend server-side programming, which is wrong. That kind of mindset cost me dearly in terms of money, in terms of time. Remember that your goal is to get a real entry-level job, to get a real first job in the industry as soon as possible, hopefully within a year. Let's say 6 months to 1 year, right? And the aim of creating this channel is that everyone who wants to learn app development or programming or data analysis, any job that is programming related, can have a one-stop place to go to learn the trade in a practical way. There are some other paid programs or platforms, say for example Udemy, Coursera, Codecademy. I had used all of them. There's some other YouTube channels also. There's some excellent YouTube channels, for example New Boston, Net Ninjas. They have 1 million, 2 million subscribers, right? And I also personally subscribe to those channels. But what will make our channel special is that we have a goal in mind, and that goal is to help you to get the first job ASAP, like in a couple of few months. In a couple of few months, you can go from a person who knows nothing about programming and or web development to the first entry-level job and get paid. And once you get a job, either a full-time job, part-time job, or even internship, you're in good hands. If you go to some of the online courses, Udemy courses, Coursera courses, there are so many instructors out there who claim that his or her courses would lead you from zero to hero. Let me tell you the ugly truth. There's no such a thing as going from zero to hero when it comes to online programs. Instead, what is practical is going from zero to job ready, or from zero to entry level. Once you get a real job, once you get the on-the-job training, or OJT, people always say OJT, on-the-job training, or once you chew on the real-world problems, that is when you become an expert in your trade, and that's when you become a hero, so to speak. Believe me, no online tutorials can substitute for a real-world experience, trust me. However, it is the first step that is most difficult, all right? To learn the basic things before you can even get a job. So over the years, I've seen so many online tutorials that claim they teach you everything, but a lot of things actually they're not even related to the real world, especially for new beginners. It's better to spend your time wisely on the things that are fundamental instead of the things that are trendy and fancy. Also, many of the tutorials teach you things in depth, like in great details. While generally speaking, it is a good thing to learn things in great details, but not at this stage. At this stage, your goal is to have a rounded development in all the aspects that are relevant to your first job. So, being practical is the name of the game of this channel. Let me show you a list here, right here. You can see our channel would cover 3 major topics. One is web development. The second is data analysis. The third is basic programming. So probably web development path is the best path for most people. First of all, we'll learn some basic HTML and CSS and JavaScript, and then we move on to learn a front-end development work like development framework like Angular or React, and then you can go for interview. You can go get a job. Once you get a job, you can learn some backend stuff. Or while you're applying for new jobs, you can learn some backend, which is helpful. Don't worry if you don't understand all of this. We'll get into this. We'll start from the very basic stuff, HTML, and then we work our way to the frameworks. The second route, data analysis. We'll learn some database, SQL, SQL queries, and then we learn some Tableau or Power BI, those data visualization tools. Actually, to be honest, I think data analysis is more fixed and has a less moving part than the web development path. But when we think about programming, probably this is the best path to start with because it combines the basic programming fundamentals with the real world application. And the third is the basic programming. And those programming tutorials will cover the programming skills and knowledge in great details. With no application in mind, actually, we just dive into JavaScript, dive into Python without looking at how to use them in the real world. You want to learn how to use them, we go to the web development path. Say, for example, we learn Python. We learn a little bit of Python. We don't have to even finish this. You learn the very basic of Python, and then we learn how to use Python with the framework to build some services on the backend server. If you do not understand all of this, don't worry. We will get into it. All right, let me show you some of the things that I have used before. Like 3 years ago when I first started, this is the first place I got started. I remember back then it cost less than $20 a month, and now the price is more than doubled, I guess. This is the first place I ever tried coding. It's called Codecademy. It's a website that you log in, and the editors and the consoles are set up for you already. You just log into the website. You don't have to configure anything on your computer. You just practice on the website. And this is a free. The Codecamp is totally free. Not as user friendly as this one, but it is free. And actually covers a lot more topics. Maybe they cover too much for new beginners. It's always a good place to brush up your knowledge. And this is Udemy.com. I use a lot of courses on this Udemy platform. Back then, they didn't offer the subscription option, so you have to buy the course one by one. Sometimes it's over $100, and sometimes they have the sales. Like today, you can get a course for $20, $15, something like that. But now they have a subscription option. I think it costs about $35 a month. There are some good tutorials. Say, for example, the ones by Angela Yu and Cole Steele. Lengthy courses, like 60, 70, 80 hours. They're good. They're great, actually. But in my opinion, sometimes they cover too much things for beginners. If we, as we said, our channel, we have the goal in mind, that is to be practical and to get the first job ASAP. Once you get the first job, once you have started using those knowledge and skills, and then we can jump back to some good courses to pick up some new things, right? And this New Boston that I mentioned, this is legendary at the New Boston. The author is not up to date for today's web development. I think he has got into some cryptocurrency stuff, but years ago that was a great place to start with. Travis Media, it's not fair if I don't mention him. I've watched some of his playlist. It's good. Sometimes it's not very easy to follow, but once you have the basic done and then you come to traffic media, I think it's good choice. Personal opinion, right? Ninja, wonderful. I remember like during the COVID, for a period of time, every day, every morning, the first thing in the morning after I wake up is to have breakfast while watching Ninja's new episode. Every day he had a new episode back then. All right, those are some great resources I had used to certain degrees, but hopefully our channel, Barefoot Programmer, will become a very practical. We will offer a practical way of getting your food into the door, right, so to speak. If you have any suggestions or advice, please leave a comment down below, or you can email me or text me. Alright, that's pretty much for the first video. Hopefully the first episode of the real tutorial will launch in 2 weeks. See you then.